All I needed to hear you say is hello, and I had you. I learned how to perfect what I call a P60, perfect 60-second call.
Hey guys, this episode was action-packed, and I am guaranteeing you right now that this will be one of the best podcasts you listen to if you are a loan officer that wants to close more deals. So I spoke to Amir Syed from Go Coaching, and this dude is, he's dynamic. He really is, but he also gave really good, specific things, actionable items that'll help you grow your business. So I'm going to read off some of these because there was just so many. But just little things like work in the days, think in the decades, right? Like it's a mindset. You gotta think bigger. Protecting your clients from the servicing companies. Lower interest rates are imminent. They will be coming. And if you're not on the phone right now protecting your clients and setting up your own refinances, you're going to be losing to somebody else when the rates do drop. How can I show up bigger? He said this over and over again, and I loved it. It's such a simple phone call to every one of your real estate agents and every single one of your clients. How can I show up bigger? This one was funny. A loan officer's career is kind of like a 30-year fix. In the early years, all you do is pay interest. You're not actually paying anything off. But in the final half is where you really make all your money, right? Where you're paying off your loan and it all starts to come together. So that was a good one. The 3 barriers to growth. He's going to talk about that. You don't want to miss that one. And then we've all heard of the love languages, right? Every couple has these different love languages that sometimes are kind of hard to deal with. But in business, you also have the business love languages. So language of sales. Then there's one of my favorites was, are you an out of shape business athlete? Sometimes it happens. And then finally, these days, being a loan officer is kind of like being an F1 driver, right? You got to have intense focus. You can't take your eyes off the road at all. Versus prior to this season that we're in, it was like driving a convertible. You're leaning back, your sunglasses were on, the air was blowing through your hair, and life was wonderful. We were all making a ton of money. But now you cannot take your eyes off the road. You have to have intense focus, and you have to be intentional. You have to know where you're going. So I hope you guys enjoy this show as much as I did. Hey, everybody, this is Dino from The Way Podcast, and we're here to empower, equip, and educate the way lending should be done from the best in the business. And today we got Amir Syed Adopoulos, because he is a brother from another mother, because he is Persian, but he is actually so Greek, it's ridiculous. We just found that out before the show started. So welcome to the show, Yasu Amir Tikanis.
Hey, let's do this, man.
Let's do it. So listen, I got somebody who I respect greatly here from the mortgage industry, because, you know, there's a ton of people throughout the United States, and some people are just great loan officers. Some people are great coaches and have a heart for helping people. And one of the reasons why I was so attracted to Amir is because he literally has a heart for helping people. And he is an insane loan officer too, has done over $1 billion in production over the years, which is a huge number for those of you that just haven't been able to kind of do the math just yet. That's a lot of loans, right? That's a lot of families helped. And my guess is, when I get to asking him later, it's not so much about the number as it is about how many families he's helped, because that's where the true heart is. And I think that happens with maturity over the years. But Amir, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. That was a wonderful introduction. And we were talking offline about the whole Greek and Iranian connection. I'm from Chicago originally, and I have lots of Greek friends. And I was surprised to know you speak it fluently, because sometimes we get Americanized. And so it was awesome connecting over that, man. My first job outside of my dad's job was at Athena restaurant in Chicago, in Greektown. Shout out to my guys there. So great food, man. Great people, great vibes, great culture. I've been to Greece. I love it, man. So,
you know, it's the one thing that I'll say if somebody says about like the culture and what you're really like. I mean, obviously we're very extroverted as a group, but it's about, you know, philotimos, right? It's about, how do you bring somebody in? How do you take care of them? How do you serve them? It's about having a good time with people and enjoying and loving people. That's what our culture is about. And I think too, I'm just gonna, put it into a bucket and say, if you want to be successful at the mortgage business, you should consider that kind of way of doing business. If you can love on your clients, you will have a leg up on everybody, because that is what attracts more people to you. So loving on your clients to me has always been a big thing. Um, how about you?
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I think maybe it's a great question to ponder without getting too like technological and deep on it, but maybe it's a Persian thing, right? Culturally, we're just very hospitable people. It's just how we are. It's how we're brought up. It's what I saw my parents do. They're very just kind, loving, charismatic people. We love to invite people to the home and have dinner, and we offer them Persian tea. It's just a lot of what I grew up around, big weddings, big families, just loud, cultural thing. And so just also growing up in Chicago, I think part of it is, natural and some of it is adaptive. I think being in Chicago, I live in Miami now, but I was in Chicago for 35 years after we immigrated there. But it's a diverse city, man. Like I have a saying like, if all your friends look like you, it's a problem. So like, dude, I had Ghanaian friends, I had Nigerian friends, like I have Greek friends, Persian friends, Jewish friends. Like it's love, man, and like learning about them and being curious. So, thank God not everybody's like me or you. And so I know that sounds kind of tacky, but when you say love on your clients, like you have to love people, like in the mortgage business, like we're people. The more people the more loans you get. You know what I'm saying? So
That's right. So Amir, who are you today? Like, I want to find out who you are today. Then I want to go back to day one and work through your journey back to today again.
okay, all right, cool. Well, awesome, awesome start. Well, I'm first and foremost, a man that has faith in God. Okay, I want to start there. You'll hear my journey. I was born Muslim, but I converted to Christianity because of a very pivotal moment in my life when I was young. And I'm not by any means a man of perfection. I have my struggles. I don't judge anybody. I'm just doing my best every day, to get a little bit better. But, for me, it's when you ask that question, I want people to remember me as a man that walks in faith and just does his best to showcase that. Secondly, then my wife is my best friend. My wife is half Jordanian, half Armenian. She's from Arkansas. So, ironically, I was dating a Greek girl named Athena, and my first job outside of my dad's business was at Athena restaurant. But, I met my wife at a time where we were both really heartbroken. We had just left some like long relationships, but she's my best friend. We had our daughter Valentina, and it's pretty public now because my wife has launched a global company to support aspiring moms. But we went through 6 rounds of miscarriages, 6 rounds of IVF. We lost our son 6 months with a surrogate during COVID in Iowa, and then we had Valentina successfully healthy, thank God, with a surrogate in Minnesota. So surrogacy is a gestational carrier is when another woman carries your DNA or egg or embryo, if you will. So that's my little family, man. My parents are in Chicago. My entire extended family is in Iran. And so since we came here with nothing in 1985, my mom and dad and I have a kid sister that's 12 years younger than me. But we're a small family, but I have my wife's family. They're a big Middle Eastern family. And so that's who I am today professionally, and I think, you know, I'm personally, excuse me, professionally, who I am is for years I would start my workday, Dino, and I'm big on affirmations because when I was young, we'll go backwards, kind of Benjamin Button reverse style. We'll kind of connect the dots in reverse here, but I was a broke immigrant kid, man, and I really didn't amount to anything. And I had a lot of people look down on me. And so I started to talk down to myself. And when I started to realize like affirmations and things, I put some good people around me that believed in me and spoke positivity to me. I realize how important it is. So each morning I have a pre-work ritual. I have 5 rituals, but one of them specifically is a PWR, pre-work ritual, where 30 minutes before work, it's time blocked. I have a checklist of things I go through. It's what defines me. But one of them was always an affirmation, which was, I am a top producer. And if we get to it, I'll tell you a funny story where I would tell people that I'm like, hey, before we get started, I'm so excited to support you. Quick background on me. I'm the top loan officer in my branch. I was the only loan officer at my branch. It was only me, right? But like I always said, I'm a top producer. I'm a top producer. I'm a top producer. I would say that 5 times. And then I would say, I will get one lead today. So I would just harness my focus. Well, now I say I will impact one loan officer today because I consider myself a multiplier. I did 3,000 home loans in my career. I've led 7 LOs from 0 to $100 million in production. I've changed their lives, generations, right? Like their kids' lives, they're multimillionaires because of this business, right? And so I said, I'm kind of bored. Now I'm going to impact one loan officer today, right? And so I'm showing loan officers how they can multiply themselves, so it's been a beautiful blessing. And so personally, professionally, that's my focus every single day.
So a couple of things there. One, I'm a man of faith as well. It's a huge part of my life. Um, Although I grew up in it, can't say I lived it for a long time. But then at some point, you grow up, something happens that usually brings you to your knees, and then it's amazing what comes of it, right? And that's kind of my story. So, I applaud you for saying that out loud. It's one of the things that too many people are scared to say out in public for everyone to hear. So I love the fact that you said that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Dino.
Yeah, I love your story with your wife, and the fact that you guys are best friends. Because I was actually just thinking about this with my wife, and it started because we got in an argument, and a lot of it has been because of a little disconnection lately. Because I've launched the Ethos Lending, this new company, and I went back to kind of like working really hard again. And I asked her for just some time of imbalance because I needed it in order to get things where I need to go. And and then I laid on her that I need to go to Las Vegas for something for a show, which didn't go very well, right? But I'm like, but I want you to come. and and then at some point after the argument, I said, honey, you need to know that you are my best friend. Like, I would choose nobody else to go to Vegas with. I would choose nobody else to go out to dinner with, nobody else to go dancing with. Even though I can't dance, I love watching her dance, right? It's like I love having my wife as my best friend. And so I applaud the fact that you said that. I love your daughter's name, Valentina. That's such a beautiful name. And even though you didn't say it, I see it on your bio. I got to just bring this up too. It's Coco and Peanut.
Oh, those are my killer teacups, baby. Combined 5 pounds, man. Those two are double trouble, man.
So the little teacup dogs is, I mean, whose personality is that? Is that yours or your wife's?
Dude, I don't know, man. It's my wife's, man. Like she's always had a teacup Yorkie her whole life. Like I always had Australian Labradoodle, like growing up, because they're hyperallergenic. But she's the boss of the house. And my wife's like, when she went to go, we had the first one was Ginger. She passed away after 15 years, And my wife's like, we got to get another one. I'm like, please don't get another dog. We're living in the city of Chicago. We're like really active. Like, they're like little kids, some of them. She goes and buys one, comes to my office, and I see Coco pop his head out, and I see Peanut pop his head out. I'm like, you bought two? I go, there better not be a third, man. But I love them, man. They're my little kids, but they're Valentino, those who just go at it. And it's the house. I wake up at 5 a.m. and I have a ritual in the morning. I do deep work, I read. So from like 5 to 7:30, a lot of people will know on this call that are parents. My house is like a library. And at like 7:15, it's like Fallujah, man. It's like my daughter is crying, my wife is calling me to come upstairs, my dogs are barking, like it's wild. But you know what? I wouldn't trade it for anything, man. I love it. I love that chaos.
Oh, you and I are very similar in that way. I wake up super early because it's the only time where it's just peace and I get to do
Mhm.
whatever I want to do. And it's usually my morning routine, which is it used to be hardcore workout. Now it's a lot of stretching with a lot more milder of a workout just because of the age. But you adapt to things, right? And then it's go, 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 go. But I do that in the morning because I don't want to take away from my family at night. And I definitely don't want to take away from my work because that's just as important to me. So the only time that I can have that moment of silence and time for myself is early in the morning. So I do preach all the time that I think everybody should have a morning routine. Doesn't necessarily have to be at 4 or 5 in the morning, but but there should be a morning routine to get your day started. In your case, your morning routine with your affirmations. So I now I've met enough people. I understand kind of certain things. I grew up with a dad that was always giving me affirmations, always telling me how great I was. So it's in the beginning it was really difficult for me when I met, like, let's say people like you, in the beginning where you were struggling. I was like, dude, just get over it. Like, come on, and I realize now that there's such deep rooted, um, messaging in people over all the years of growing up that it's not that easy to just click it and get out of that mode. So I was blessed that I had a dad to do that. I realize there's a lot of people that haven't, and I want you to expand just a little bit on the affirmation piece because I think it's super important for people. A lot of times they don't even know why they're stuck. I don't want to say struggling, just stuck somewhere, right? And if they're stuck, they need to, in my eyes, do something big to get out of it. But I think this is your area of expertise. What would you
You
say?
see, I mean, I'm no, it's a great point. I think maybe it's I know, immigrant parent thing. Immigrants when they come here, they're leaving countries that are and doesn't give the opportunities like the land of opportunity, and so when my parents came here, they realized, wow, we can really work hard and have success. And so they're hustlers. And so like my dad would bring me to work all the time. And one thing is he's my greatest mentor of all time. He would give me tons of confidence. I've been on other podcasts where I've talked about it where, at such a young age, he would allow me to count cash. We used to drive home from the car dealership. He had a small car dealership that did really well. People would come all across the Midwest to buy cars from him. Dad's like the most honest guy you'll ever meet. And he would say, okay, son, like, I wouldn't have my license yet. So we drive home at 8 o'clock and he'd give me the cash because he would take payments because he was working with a lot of like, lower middle class people. There was no financing back in the 80s, like banks, like he was just making payments every week to him. So he'd say, count this money. So I would count like, a couple thousand, $3,000 on my lap in like 20s. And so he taught me like confidence, and like he gave me other responsibilities. And just those actions allowed me to be more confident, But really where things changed for me, Dino, was I was a really bad kid, so some people know this story, but we left Iran from 1980 to 1988. Iran had an 8-year war with neighboring country Iraq. Saddam invaded Iran after the Shah of Iran, fell in 1979. It was like a vacuum was created. And so 1 million people died in that war, right? So people don't know, like 1 million people died in 8 years between Iraq and Iran. My uncles all went to war. You have to serve in the army there. They were coming back with post-traumatic stress disorder. It was really bad. I remember this. Bombs were going off, sirens were going off to take cover. I mean, something I don't wish on
How
anybody.
old are you? Were you at that point?
I'm I'm 6 years old, so formidable years, right? And so, my parents got up, they left everybody. My mom comes from a big family. And mind you, my dad is originally Iranian, but years ago his family went to India for work. India and Pakistan had a war. And my dad was the oldest sibling of four, and his dad, my grandfather, was a general in the army, and he was a prisoner of war for 4 years. So here you are, my dad has to go back to Iran at 17 to send money back to his mom and siblings. Another war starts in 1980. So it's just like, my dad is a hustler. So we went to Chicago. My mom was could not get a job at McDonald's, and she was a teacher for 20 years, for a few years, excuse me. And my dad was a shoe salesman making 375. Just me. Lived in a 500 square foot apartment. We moved like 5 times. So I'm getting bullied, making new friends every 2 years. Just difficult, man. Like I had just learning shortcomings. And so when we got to 12, 13 years old, I got into a major fight in my school. And I came home and my mom saw I had a black eye. I'm going to tie this all in terms of self-talk. I promise you. I didn't like take a wild left turn and not come back here. I promise. Okay. I see the GPS, man. All right. I'm going to go somewhere with this. Dino's like, dude, this guy, where is this guy going, man? Right? Us Persians, man, we got to tell some
Oh,
stories
I
here before we
know.
get to the money.
Keep
All
those hands still, buddy.
right.
Keep them within the
Exactly.
frame.
Exactly. So check this out, man. Like I came home, my mom was like, "What happened to you?" And I said, "Oh, it was a basketball thing." She goes, "It's not basketball. Mama knows child, right?" So she called upstairs. My best friend Charlie lived on the third floor, and she talked to his mom. And his mom asked Charlie, "What happened to Amir?" And she shook the truth out of him. And I got into a bad fight. And Charlie told his mom, don't tell Amir not to go to the school dance tonight because these kids are gonna really, do something to him." Well, I didn't go. My mom made me not go. We got into a big fight. I found out later that weekend those kids brought weapons like in a backpack, like they were really gonna come after me. Who knows where life could have gone, right? My mom called my dad and says, "We're getting out of here." So they went, had money saved. They bought a little modest home in a really nice part of Chicago. So here I am, one of like a few minority kids. This high school is like 3,000 kids. None of them look like me. They all got super big money. And I still felt like a second class citizen. I had terrible grades, but I was good at sports. And I was working weekends, working 6 days a week in the summer. I was a high school janitor, vacuuming apartment buildings, like didn't have a nice car, didn't have any of these things. I constantly kept telling myself, "You're a loser. You're a loser." Like I was mad at my parents. These kids got money. You're never going to go anywhere. Blah, 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 blah. And I started doing bad things again. But I met some people through church. They started telling me, "You're not a loser." Then they started giving me affirmations like, "You're going to be successful, Amir. You're a great kid. You have a good heart." But I started to clean the dirty water out of my mind. Then I met a very important mentor. And it just takes certain people in your life that say powerful things in that moment. You need to hear it. And they said, "Amir, even though you're not graduating high school, we're going to graduate you, but real school starts after school ends." And so I met a mentor of mine, Dino, super ultra successful guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I was 17, 18. He said, "Amir, the most successful people in my company, I have 11,000 employees, are executives and salespeople." I said, "Salespeople?" He goes, "Yes, they can make a lot of money. You're not made for college. Go learn how to sell. You know people. You're gonna be successful." He goes, "Just tell yourself that and you will act as if." So since then, I started attracting things. I know that sounds really voodoo, but I started saying, "I will be successful. I will marry a beautiful wife. I will, be successful in sales." And I started to say it, and my entire physiological being started to attract those things. And I go, "Dang, this is amazing." So then I started reading behavioral psychology books, high performance habit books, and I'm like, all these high performers, they take care of the mental mechanics first in between these ears. And I need to put things in position. So I had lots of affirmations written down. I would say it out loud. I would write them in the morning. And little by little by little by little, I cleansed myself of anything from my past.
I love that, man. So we just had Rene Rodriguez on as well. He's really big into all that. And it's a great conversation with him as well. This sounds silly, but I used to have my first dog was a yellow lab, and her name was Shelby. And Shelby was the love of my life, right? I was single. It was just me and my dog. And I swear I told Shelby she was so pretty so many times. And it dawned on me that it's like most people don't ever tell their kids all of this wonderful, like affirmations, right? Like these things that kids should be hearing. Instead, they're constantly just being beat on by parents that love them. So, I've tried ever since, and just like any parent, we fail at many, many things, but I do feel that as parents, we should be pushing on our kids all the time, even when they're not in the early years, of telling them how great they are at everything so they can start believing it and believing in themselves. And then from a work perspective, especially if you're in leadership, you got to do the same thing to your people, right? And you got to lead your people, and you got to tell them they're great. Otherwise, it turns into this whole vicious cycle, and I think it goes nowhere good. And it's like that book. One of the books I loved was Good to Great, and a great leader does this kind of stuff.
It's very powerful what you say. I have lots of thoughts on that. A parent's voice becomes a child's self-talk. People forget this. And, you know, you have to be careful how you talk to yourself because you're always listening, right? So mental mechanics are very important. And so, Dino, I've learned just leading thousands of people. Everybody has love production languages. Like Gary Chapman wrote the book Love Languages, right? Which, for some people that may not know it, it's words of affirmation, which is my primary one. You got quality time, physical touch, gifts, and acts of service. These are love languages, right? And they're real. Like it's incredible how real they are. But in work, people have production love languages. I've learned how I did so much volume is I had to learn the skill of leadership, right? Delegation. And so each of my team, I realized they feel recognized in different ways. Some of them loved praise. Some of them hated praise. It made them uncomfortable. Some wanted ascension, which is like promotions. Some wanted more responsibility. Some wanted more time off. Some wanted more money. Very few, actually. We as loan officers think we're going to give some empty words of recognition. Great job, right? Because there's a science behind recognizing people as well. Like I have lots of sayings, and one of them is I catch people doing things right all the time. So throughout the day, I literally am like very organized on how I take notes. I'm constantly batching things I'm catching people doing things right. So when we have a meeting, I go through it and I'm like, I'm so proud of you. You did this right. Specificity and praise is super important, right? And spontaneously praising people is even more powerful, right? There's an art and science to how we praise people. Now, with my staff, even my coaches at Go, I ask them all the time. I go, hey, I'm so proud of you. You did this right. You did this right. You did this right. Keep at it. Right? I said, dude, how can I show up bigger for you? How can I show you that I love you? How can I show that I care for you? What's important for you? I did this with realtors for years. I coach LOs, many different tactics. But you know what, Dino, just to make it really, really just, hit home for a lot of loan officers listening to this, I'm going to challenge all of them. Call your best agents next week and do this exercise in context to this, what you and I are talking about, okay? And after you get through some of the pleasantries, you ask the agent, say, hey, pretend like you're the agent, Dino. I said, Dino, there's been something on my mind that I want to share with you, right? Now, use your own essence. Don't script this to a T. We're not Hollywood actors. Like, be genuine. Say, you know what? Like, I want to show up bigger for you. How can I show you that I'm grateful for you? What can I do better to show up for you, this year? You know, try that and pause. Okay. I will tell you right now, if some of you guys see me at events or you can DM me on social, you're going to be shocked what you hear. Because the first time I did this, listen what I heard. I heard one say, Amir, I hate you call me every single Monday. Amir, I wish you would call me more on Mondays. Amir, if I refer you, I need one referral back. Amir, I hate how you call me Johnny, but my name is really John. Amir, I hate that you don't support me in my charity events. Amir, can you just hang out with me more? I see your Instagram stories. I want to smoke a cigar with you. Amir, don't ever call me. You get all my referrals. I love you. We'll go to lunch maybe twice a year. I'm not talking to any other letter. This is the gamut of what I heard, And I'm like, what the hell just happened? We have to treat people how they want to be treated, not how we want to be treated. And we have to find out what their love language is when it comes to work.
It's the same, husband and wife, because my wife's top two love languages are my bottom two, and my top two are her bottom two.
Is it quality time? Is her love language?
Hers is quality time. Mine that's last on my list, because after all day at work, last thing I want to do is I just want to chill.
Check this out. I'm words of affirmation. My wife's quality time, right? So I always joke with her. She was here. I work from home. She'll be cracking. I said, I have the easiest love language. You don't gotta touch me. You don't gotta do nothing for me. You don't gotta buy me anything, right? You don't have to spend time with me. Just say something nice, and I'll do anything for you. I gotta spend all this time. She's like, you're an asshole. Like I got the easiest love language, man.
Mine is also the same thing. It's, tell me something nice, and then just touch me every once in a while. She's like, you're gonna want to have sex every time I touch you. And I'm like, oh, gosh, do it more often, and maybe it won't be that way.
Yeah. That's good stuff, man. Yeah, we're very similar, man. But check that out. Like it's true, dude. Like I give my wife 15, 30 minutes. I love hitting on my wife, but you're right, man. Like that's not my love language, so I have to be intentional about it. But oh my gosh, like it's like, dude, and same with me. If she tells me something nice, I'm like a little dog, man. Like,
gosh, she'll do
but
anything.
I'm not a gift. Yeah, but like I'm not a gift guy. Like all my friends know, like don't give them your gifts. Like that is not my love language. I, But for them, if I give them something, like it's really you have to understand how people want to be treated, man. It's really important to discern that, you know? Like a lot of the LOs I lead, they automatically want to reward their people with more pay. I'm like, dude, you have an assignment, you're gonna call this person, and 90% of the time they call me back, like that person did not want more pay. They're happy. They want more time off. They want to be able to work from home. They want more this, more that. Just because we're money motivated at work doesn't mean everybody's money motivated.
Yeah, agreed. So let's do this because you and I can, I think, just keep talking. let, let's go back so we can give people some relatability, because I know you once were where a lot of people are today, and I want to teach them how to get beyond that, right? And maybe to some people it's doing 5 or 10, 12 million a year. Maybe some are at 50 but want to get to 100. So I want to start with just like day one. Like, why the hell did you get into the mortgage business?
Yeah, okay. I like it, man. We're gonna really impact some people here today that are listening. So I went to college for a little bit of time after I barely graduated high school. I had an influential man graduate me. So I went into college and I'm in college and I'm working for my dad, right? I'm thinking my dad wants me to maybe take over the business, and I hated it. I did not want to go into that business. He was a pre-driven car dealer, right? Used car dealer, but he was pre-driven. Okay. We gotta make a little fancy there, right? But it's what all Persians do. Either they're rocket scientists or they're like small business owners, right? No in between. So here I am, like all of my friends went to these fancy colleges. I'm in some, bad, like low run college. So I'm in there and I'm like, this sucks, man. Like I'm not made for school. What am I doing in my life? I'm such a loser, right? Say these things. So one day this Turkish kid walks in the class wearing a suit. And I'm like, dude, why are you wearing a suit? And I gotta give him a shout out, Ed, man. And he's like, the real name is Imad. He's like, I'm a account executive for World Savings Bank. I said, excuse me? I said, there's a bank, there's a World Bank where everyone puts their money. He goes, no, no, no. So some of you old heads on this call remember World Savings Bank, and so he goes, I'm an account executive. I go talk to mortgage brokers and convince them to send me their loans, right? And so he goes, I go, do you like it? He goes, yeah, I love it. And he goes, Amir, you would kill it. I go, but I don't know anything about the mortgage business. He says, it's a people business. So I said, give me an opportunity. We're having breakfast at home. I lived at home till I was 27, like a good Middle Eastern boy. We're having breakfast Sunday morning, right? My mom made some amazing, Persian, food. And we're sitting there. I'm so nervous, to ask my dad because I think he's just going to get really mad at me for not wanting to work with him anymore. And I told him about the mortgage business and this and that. He said, son, you got to work for somebody else because if you don't learn what it's like to have a boss, you're never going to have empathy and emotional intelligence. You got to work for somebody else to understand what it's like. Best advice he gave me amongst many of pieces of advice he gave me. So I called my friend Ed. I said, hey, man, my dad gave me the green light. I said, give me a job. He goes, there's these two guys that left AmeriQuest. They opened up a mortgage company. This is 2003, height of the subprime time. He said, they're looking for like junior loan officers. Let me see if they'll hire you. Calls me back. He says, they're looking for a new guy. I called Dino, Kevin Taylor. Shout out to my boy Kevin Taylor, Illinois Mortgage Funding. And he's like, you know what, kid? I heard a lot of great things about you. I heard a lot of people like you. I heard you're a great sales kid. Like, blah, blah, blah. He goes, why don't you come in for an interview on Friday at 1 p.m.? I said, where's the office? He said, Schaumburg, Illinois. I said, Schaumburg, Illinois. I went to MapQuest. I said, this is an hour away from my house, right? I said, I'll be there. I go, hey, it's 1 o'clock on Friday. I said, that's lunchtime. How about I bring you some food? He goes, no. I said, I insist. He goes, no. I said, okay, no problem. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bring this guy a bunch of food. So I go talk to my dad, Dino. I go, Dad, I got this interview, but I got no money. Like, you don't pay me. I'm working for you for free, but I have a roof on that. I go, I need to buy a suit. He goes, go to these two apartment buildings that he owned. He goes, there's laundry machines. Here's the keys. However many quarters you get, go to First American Bank. You go buy your suit with that. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? So I get 315 bucks or something in quarters, something like that. It was like a little over $300. I go to the bank, get it. I get a check. I go to Golf Mill Mall in Chicago. I get the tackiest suit, dude, with like a neon purple, like Calvin Klein shirt, right? And some DKNY Kenneth Cole shoes. I mean, I look like I was a bouncer at a club, right? I go to Munich. This is 2003, right? So I'm like 21 at the time or something. So I go to Nuna Kebab, a famous Persian restaurant. I get 6 platters of shish kebabs. Go to MapQuest, put it in my car, go over to Schaumburg. I open the door. I'm thinking it's going to be some big company. 6 guys that are like in this little like room, cold calling, right? They're looking at me. It's like everything stopped. The door just cracked open. I'm like, is Mr. Taylor here? They're like, who are you? I'm like, I'm the guy for the interview. They're like, what's in the bag? I'm like, I brought you guys all food. They like pushed me out the way, ate them like dinosaurs. Kevin comes out. I'm thinking this guy's like a 50-year-old guy, Kevin Taylor, right? 25 years old. In- Interviews me, and I like we hit it off. Great guy, right? And he's like, this is what you're going to be doing, man. He goes, are you afraid of the phone? I said, why? Is the phone a cactus? Is it going to prick me? And he burst out laughing. He goes, no, you're going to be making cold calls. I said, who am I calling? He says, you're calling homeowners that have a high interest rate that can take advantage of low interest rates. You're going to get refinance applications. I said, what am I asking for them? He goes, this information, but you have to get their social security number. I said, they have no idea I'm calling. He says, no. I said, is anybody else doing this? He goes, yeah. He goes, all these guys are doing it. So I went in, first day on the job. It was the hardest day of my life. I will never forget that day. I drove home. My mom always had Persian food waiting for me every day when I come from school. So it was my first day. She was really excited. It's my son's first day at work. Dude, I went straight to my bedroom and I cried my ass off on my pillow and I closed the door, right? And I just remember telling myself, I'm such a loser. I'm never going to amount to anything. This is terrible. Like, what am I going to do with my life? My dad's going to, and my mom like was like, leave him alone. But I said, you know what? F that. I'm going back the next day. Went back the next day. It still sucked, you know? But you know what I realized, man? Our careers are like a 30-year amortization. A lot of interest, first payment, little principal. But you got to keep making those payments no matter how you feel. And you do more principal and less interest, right? So I just show up, dude. My effort is stronger than anybody. I showed up. I became the number one telemarketer. This company ended up having 300 people. I was the youngest guy, Dino, best telemarketer in the entire company. All I needed to hear you say is hello, and I had you. I learned how to perfect what I call a P60, perfect 60-second call. That's why a lot of people in the industry say I'm the scripting god, right? Because English is my second language, but sales is my first language. I studied it. I learned, offline when you and I were talking, because I can speak a little Greek. I can say, hi, how are you, in almost 20 plus languages with perfect enunciation. So I learned in such a cold call, you have such high tension, such low trust, no body language, no persuasion. They have no idea I'm calling. If I can master this, I will never go broke. So I mastered it. I obsessed over it. I learned annotations, pacing, you know, um, vocal, all this stuff. And I was just getting people socials left and right. And I was giving it to top producers. Now, remind you, my boss, Kevin, was taping $100 bills on the pipeline board. He goes, kid, every app you get, come and get this $100. So I'm coming in a month later, 2 months later, Dino. All these guys went from driving Toyota Camrys to like Range Rovers and like Beamers. And I'm like, what the hell how these guys? I said, Kevin Taylor, I said, all the last names on this whiteboard are all the applications I'm taking. And every time I take an app, these guys are chest bumping, high fiving. What is happening? Explain to me my role, my node in this timeline of events. He goes, kid, I was at AmeriQuest. I have never, ever seen someone, he goes, in the entire country when I was at AmeriQuest, which is one of the top subprime lenders in the world at the time, he goes, you have a gift. It's wild how good you are over the phone. And I goes, every application you're taking, these guys are making crazy money. I said, hey, Kevin, so this is how I got in the mortgage business. I said, Kevin, how much is Everett making? Shout out to my boy Everett Big Sneezy. Everett's like 6'4", looks like Vince Vaughn, like 300 pounds, gift the gab. He goes, Everett made 40 last month. I said, damn, Everett made 40,000 last year. He goes, no. I said out loud, he goes, he made 40 last month. I said, oh, he made 4,000 last month. I kept correcting him. He's like, dude, 40,00 last month. I said, excuse me? I said, Everett made 40,000. My exact words. I said, is this legal what we're doing? He goes, yes. I went home that day. My parents were in bed watching TV. I said, Mom, Dad, I need to talk to you. I said, I'm never going back to school again. You got to give me 1 year to show you what I can do. And I promise you, I will let you down. I got goosebumps, man. They're like, son, we love you. Go do what you need to do. And that was it. I never went back to school. I did not show up. They were calling my house. I'm like, don't return their call, Mom. Like, and I just worked 6 days a week. I would pray it would rain in Chicago on Saturday morning so I can get people to pick up. I stayed clean. I didn't go out. I saved every single dollar, man. My dad was like, bring me your check, and so
So how
that's how I got in
much
the
how
mortgage
much were you
business.
making?
Okay, this is wild. Like this is yeah, my first year, I still have my W-2s. My first 6 months, I did 90K. My second year, I did 250K, just about 250, 260. My third year, I did 500. And my fourth year, I just missed a million at age of 24. 25. Yeah. But you know what, though, man? I'm really proud of this, dude. I gave away my money to the charity, my church, and things like that. I'm not gonna, say how much, but I do feel God blessed me a lot because I gave. I saved every penny because my parents. I came home one night, all these guys were buying buy badass cars and were making fun of me. Like, you're the biggest producer here, and you're driving this shitty Jeep Cherokee, living at home. They're trying to do whatever they can. The guys at the office that go at me, and I'm like, they're right. I need to give myself a Mercedes CLS 500 when it came out. I took out the brochure. I went home, Dino. I'm like, Dad, parents are in bed watching TV because I come home late. I'm like, Dad, this is how much money I got saved. He's like, how much you got saved? This is like my second year. I'm like 30 grand. He's like, 30 grand? He's like, how much have you made since you've been there? I'm like 80 grand, but taxes and this and this and this. He's like, don't be an idiot. Don't buy a nice car and come home when you're living with your mom and dad. What are you, a schmuck? He goes, when you save 100,000, you come talk to me and you're buying a building. I said, a building? He goes, yep. Dude, I guess, so how much you need me to save, Dad? He told me the number. I bought a 17-unit building. I still own it. I just hit my 20-year anniversary of that building, March of 2025. I still have that building, dude.
Dude, that is great.
So,
So, gosh, everybody listening,
so
right? I
shout out
mean,
to my parents, man. Shout out to my parents
that
and
I
Kevin Taylor
that
and Big
is
Sneak.
that is the exact opposite of almost every single loan officer out there right now. And they get so enamored with that big dollar, they think they have to go spend right away. I mean, bought a building. First of all, I think it's crazy that you're in your mid 20s at this point, and you are be a good boy because you go home, you're living with mom and dad, you're still doing whatever mom and dad tell you to do. There's got to be something to it. I mean, mom and dad always know what's best for you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I think, you know what, man? Like, the lesson in all that is, I think there's two lessons I want to share with people that are listening to this is, first of all, you have to live under your means. It's very, when I talk about the mortgage mastery ladder, it's a big saying I have right now. Your ladder has to be on the right wall, which is the right company. But the height of the ladder has a lot to do with your leadership skills, which is having good marketing, sales, operational, and financial skills. It's skill acquisition. The more money you make, the hardest challenge is, how do I just not extend my lifestyle for this, right? And so I just kept my head down those years. I stacked, and you know what? I ended up buying a 30-unit building a year later, which I still have. Those buildings, and I'm not saying this to brag at all. Everyone just heard my story. Like, I'm not, dude, if you know me, like, I'm like, I still work like a blue collar guy, right?
I want everybody to know this because this is the kind of stuff that should motivate people.
Okay, all right, good. Yeah, some people, I hope, like, right now, if you're listening to this and your mind is getting jealous thoughts, that's the devil. Get that out of your mind. Be aspire. Like, I'm not a flaunt type guy. Like, those buildings saved me, dude. Because in 2008, when the market crashed, I owned my own brokerage. Oh my gosh, dude. You might have been in the business at the time. Those two buildings subsidized me, dude. Like, it carried me. I didn't lay off one person. I didn't lay off one person, man. Like, I'm like, you guys, we ride together, we die together. Like, you're here, I'm gonna figure out a way to, like, bridge this 30, $40,000 a hole every month. I know it may not be the wisest thing, but I just know. And it came back, dude. We got the heart blowings, and like the business came back. We found a way, but like, my rent was subsidizing my business, dude. So having two, three sources of income was really important at the time as well. So lots of lessons there, man. The second thing is, listen to your parents, man.
Did you ever have a time that you thought about quitting, where things just got so bad, or something was going wrong in your life that you were just like, mortgage business sucks?
Oh man, dude. Yes. Whoever says no, I think they're lying. I think those thoughts will pass through our minds. And so I've thought about quitting, dude, multiple times, different stages of my life. And I'm like, do I really want to do this? Is there other things I should be doing? I feel like, there's the gratitude's not there. I feel like, it's such a thankless job sometimes. I feel like, like this is such a grind, but when those things happen, I've also invested a lot in just skills where I think, well, if I'm feeling this way, other people are feeling this way. Let's just stop and do some math. How many loans do I need to close to support my lifestyle? Right? Okay, I got it. I need to go get this many loans, like, and that's a big message I'm telling people right now is how you can defeat that thinking is be around winners right now. Whatever you got to do, join a community. That mortgage mastery ladder, one of the parts that I always talk about is who's holding the ladder for you. That's your coaches, mentors, and peers in your community. They're the ones looking up and encouraging you. You got a lot of people in this industry that are trying to pull you down with their negative thoughts. Get away from that. Be around people. I coach some of the top producers in the country right now, right? Like number one LOs in a lot of companies. And like these guys, they just keep putting their head down, right? They get through these storms. You follow? And so there's still a lot of opportunity. The average median income last year in the United States was $75,000. I want to give a shout out to my research assistant, ChatGPT, for this information, right? The top 10% income earners did 168,000. Top 1% was 780,000. Average mortgage loan amount was 335,000 last year. Average basis points for every LO was between 92 and 103 basis points. So 335 times 100 basis points is basically $3,500 in gross income. You just got to close 3 loans a month and your top basically 10%, right? 3 to 5 loans a month. So when you think about that, this is why I allow the newly licensed loan officers that are in the right communities. I love them because ignorance is bliss. They're like the happy guy coming in. Everyone's got beat up at the bar, like, hey guys, I'm Johnny, right? They're like, I can close 5 loans and make 150, 200,000. We just got spoiled. And we got to just understand there's way less loan officers and there's way out big opportunity. We got to do Men in Black, erase people's memory. Don't worry about the past. Focus on right now. It's a lot of resetting, dude, is what I'm trying to say.
I asked that question, and I'll answer it myself as well. I've been in it for 26 years now, and one time I did kind of think maybe I should get out. And then I asked myself this one huge question: what would I do? What would I do that can make me the kind of money that I've been used to making? And obviously, it was after 2008 because that was the brutal time, for me. And I sat there and I was like, man, in my worst year ever since the very beginning, I still made over 100 grand in my very, very worst year. And the reality is, I mean, I could have done that sitting on the beach because that was barely doing any loans. And it was so easy for me. Right. So when I looked at all my clients and how much they were making, and back then it was like making 100 grand was like, okay, like you're doing okay. And it's just like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go hustle and have to work 40+ hour weeks over, under somebody else to make 100 grand when I can just look at what I'm doing, try a little bit harder, push a little bit harder, and then go out there and hustle. And the one thing that I still go back to is there was always somebody that was crushing it in the industry, no matter what it was doing. And at the time, because I was in Newport Beach, California at the time, and I had never even done an FHA loan in my life, didn't even know how to do them, right? Apparently they're not that much different, but I didn't know how to do them. And what I found out after 2008 was there was these guys out in what we call the Inland Empire, right? Where it was a little bit cheaper, a little bit further inland. And these guys were crushing it on FHA loans. I just sat there and thought, I'm sitting here wallowing in my own like pity party, having a pity party because I'm not doing a bunch of loans and I'm not doing what I was used to. And these guys are crushing $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 loans day in and day out, making a ton of money. So always be the guy that's crushing it. It's not that hard. It's really not. You just got to have that mindset of be that guy.
That's exactly right, dude. And when you hang out with people that are crushing it, you start to understand they think differently and they operate differently. And there's lots of loans. One of the things my wife knows is whenever we're landing on a plane or I'm in a plane landing, I always look out the window and I see all these homes, and I'm like, look at all these homes. I just need 5 to 10 a month. 5 to 10. Like I can't get 5 to 10. When you zoom out and wide, you realize like there's always opportunity, dude. You just can't get too small on the microscopic things because then you feel like the world is ending. There's always business, man. You got to go hustle. And it's the game. It's like Mario Brothers, remember level one. You jump over the hamburger, hit the thing, get a mushroom. Like if you want to keep leveling up, you have to know how to navigate, dude. So that's how I would always think about it. When it booms, I'm always ahead. It's the bust is coming, Amir, right? When it's busting, I'm like, the boom is coming. You learn this after being in the sea for a long time. Skilled, sailor, is being in the sea. And so I realized like, save your money, withstand the storm, market share when it's down, think long term, work in the days, think in the decades. And you got to be around the right people. You got to be around the right people, man. So work in the days, think in the decades, man. Like I've always been such a long term minded guy, always long term minded. Let's win through the law of attrition. Right? Law of attrition is people will quit when things get tough. Like that's great. Like this is a game. At the end of the day, like I don't wish the worst about people, but it's business. Business is most of the time it's a meritocracy. It's who's the strongest and who's the most well skilled is going to make it. So if it's hard for me, I think if it's hard for me, it's hard for everybody. Now it's a true battle. I keep saying this market is like an F1 race car driver, like harness, two hands in the steering wheel. It used to be like convertible, drop top, wrist over the steering wheel, sunglasses, listen to Beach Boys. Oh, loans are just flying in. Now you gotta be focused, man. You gotta be locked in.
Man, I am writing down so much stuff with you. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to start stealing some of this stuff. The
Do your
F1
thing, baby. Do your thing, man.
F1 driver versus convertible. All right. So let's get technical for a second now. Obviously, having the gift of gab and being able to connect with people, and like we talked about early in the show, like loving on our clients and all that, I think that's a huge piece. Um, Having a certain mortgage IQ, which I don't even think needs to be at the top of the highest chart, as long as you understand the business and understand how to work alone and all that. But what are some of the technical things that you think every loan officer should have? For example, CRM, mortgage coach, right? Whatever kind of software is out there, and maybe it's not even software. When I say what are some of the technical things, what do you think every loan officer should be like proficient at?
Well, great question. I think there's hard skills and soft skills. I think too many loan officers are programmed improperly to think that they need all the hard skills first. What are the hard skills? Technical knowledge, right? Cash, credit, capacity, collateral, right? Your three C's of lending, guideline knowledge, right? Things like this. Yes, that's important. Okay. But that has to also grow simultaneously with soft skills, which are what? Communication. Part of communication is what? Negotiation, persuasion, right? Persuasion, which is part of marketing, right? Like they're not properly trained in terms of how to take 5 steps of professional sales, how to make contact, how to actually build effective rapport, rapid rapport, to stay out of the friend zone, how to do a proper disco dance, discovery through a series of sequence questions, right? To understand what the person across the table wants. How do you close? Ask for what you want clearly and concisely. Then how do you trigger that person into a forever value-based sequence? Those are the 5 steps of professional sales. Like they don't learn these things. And that's why when I went 0 to 50 million in 3 years, I had two kind of chapters in my career, 2003 to 2012, and then 2012 to 2022, right? 2012, I had no book of business. I was the owner of a company and no production. I was giving all my loans to other people. I'm like, enough is enough. I'm going to go full time and I'm going to show myself that I can do 100 mil. 0 to 50 mil, 3 years. No ads, no nothing. Straight learning how to go out there and prospect. I said, I'm a loan getter. The loan doing will come by the getting. I get loans. I learn how to do loans. And then I will hire people because not everybody can go get loans. I can hire people to do loans. I can't hire people to get loans. So I'm going to learn how to be a loan getter. I'm going to learn marketing, persuasion, and sales, persuasion, mastery, right? And I'm going to be a collector of people. I'm going to be a master recruiter, right? So I mastered that, and that's why I teach it now, you know. And so I worked very hard at that. And so when I would bring the loans in, then I learned how to create a perfect, what's called point of sale process. So when you think about marketing and sales, I became the point of thought, POTs, for thousands of realtors. And I learned how to put them through a point of sale process because I said, okay, process is greater than personality. So I need to learn how to structure things in a way where loans come in. How do I put people through a perfect process that's predictable and repeatable? So then what I had to learn is operation skills. How do I recruit, hire, train, develop, multiply staff? How do I get great players and create playbooks? A lot of my staff will tell you, I have 30 employees that go, right? Like I run companies, like I have a saying, players and playbooks. Hire the best players, pay more for them, playbook freaking everything in a Google Doc, shoot Loom videos. That's how you multiply yourself. And constantly work your lead to loyalty process. Lead to layout. Lead comes out. What do you do in those nuances to get them to the initial loan consultation, which you lay out a financial plan for them? Lead to layout. Layout to lock. What happens after the initial loan consultation, a pre-approval to lock? Lock to loan, loan to loyalty. So it's breaking down these parts like a businessman. You know, so I think these loan officers come in and they're like, I'm a loan officer. No, you're not a loan officer, knucklehead. You're a people officer first. More people, more loans. So how do I break this down? All I preach about, that's my best students, right? They are crushing it right now. I said, we're going to lean on the math. No more emotion. Okay? 1,000 realtors see you. I want 1,000 friends that are realtors on Facebook. I want you to get 1,000 realtors following you on IG. Don't worry about the vanity. This is the sanity. 1,000 realtors. I want 300, Dino, that know and like you. Not trust you, but they know and like you. Oh, I know, Dino. Great guy. You're working them now to get them to cross the trust barrier through masterful sales language, right? 50 need to know, like, and trust you. Trust, they referred you one lead in a trailing 6 months. 10 of them need to love you. Love, they refer you to other realtors. You're going to follow 100, 1,000, 350, 10. I said, you're going to track it because if you don't track, you don't care. You're going to track your relationships. So the first assignment I put them through is show me, right? Right? Like I love Missouri. It's the show me state. I'm the state of Missouri. Show me, I tell them, right? So they bring it to me. You know what always happens? They all think they're Arnold Schwarzenegger. But then when they go to the gym of Amir, they can barely do 6 pull-ups. And we all laugh. I go, you're an out of shape business athlete that still thinks you're young and sexy, right? You know what they find out, Dino? They actually only got like 12 realtors that actually refer them. In their head, they think they got 50, but they really only got 12. Right, dude? You know what I'm talking about as a vet. So we first get the relationship tracking done. And I say, yo, back in the day, it used to be 2 + 2 = 4. Not this market. This market's 2 + 2 = 1. You need more to get the results you want. So we're going to track the relationships. You're going to be seen before you're known, liked, and trusted. That's going to be your persuasion. Then we're going to track your activity, because if you don't track, you don't care. And then we're going to track your leads and your closings. And we're going to go every single coaching call, figure out where you're having the heat map or where the problems are. And we just stay hyper-focused, right? So you asked the question, you asked what time it was. I told you how to build a clock. I gave you a long answer, unfortunately, fortunately, but I'm a technical, tactical guy. I think people are, silence is filled by negativity. They're sitting around all day. You have to go acquire people right now, and you have to learn how to move them from point A to point B, and you have to plant massive sales seeds so people know when you're ready to buy a home or refinance, I would be honored to be your guy. Do I have your commitment to refer me? And that's that language you use. And you say that 5 times a week, however many times a year, you have tons of sales seeds out there. People are not prospecting enough is the bottom line, and they're worried about loans. Don't worry about loan prospector. AUS, worry about people prospector. More people, more loans. Bottom line.
Do you think you can teach anybody to use that language effectively, or is it just not in certain people's DNA?
I think everything's a learned skill, in my opinion. I think anything you want to do, you can do. I do think you cannot teach what I think is the most important ingredient of salesmanship, which is drive. Drive is proven through three attributes: competitiveness, optimism, and need for achievement. My dear friend, Dr. Chris Corner, wrote the book, Never Hire a Bad Salesperson. He has a drive test anybody can take. It's a couple $100, but you can have people test their drive. After 21 years old, you can't teach drive. It's very, very difficult, right? So I think I like to see people in my community have drive, right? They have to be competitive. They have to have optimism because you're going to get kicked in the teeth every single day. And you have to have a need for achievement. Those are the three ingredients of drive, right? So if you have that drive, then you go. But for me, what I've learned too, Dino, at Go Coaching, I don't have low ticket loan officers, dude. That's how confident I am what I do. I price so many people out. Now, I do a lot of free stuff, and people say my free shit's better than most people's paid shit, which is true, right? I do master classes every week because I have a huge heart. But nobody washes a rental car, dude. If you're not paying, you're not going to do the work. So I force you to do the work by the amount you're going to invest up front. And that in itself is a contract to know I gotta do this work, right?
Let's talk about that for a second. I was going to bring it up at the end, but I think now's the perfect time. Coaching. So I've been a huge believer in coaching over the years. Every time I've spent money, most of the time more than I could have afforded at the time, it absolutely elevated my game and put me in a different arena of income making. So for you, how does somebody get a hold of you? How does the coaching work? What is the systems or the options that you give people?
Well, coaching changed my life. You understand? Like our greatest shortcut in life is people. I have no pride, Dino. Anything I want to get better at, I'm finding that person, right? Like that's the thing with me. Being shy is expensive. I've never been shy. I couldn't afford to be shy. I had to speak up, right? So I go find the best of the best in the industry. Do I have cold call Barry Habib? That's how I'm friends with him. If I told you who I have cold call, you'd be shy. Just get him on the phone. I say, will you help me? And people don't realize the bigger, successful people never get called because everyone can't get through the intimidation factor, and they're actually really good people. They want to help, right?
Actually,
So I go,
I got a great story for you.
tell me,
I cold called you.
you did?
I did. I even set up an appointment, and
Oh wow,
some girl was on the appointment and not you. And I was like, gosh dang it, because I wanted to get to know you.
at
And
Go Coaching,
yeah.
that was Shira. You got Shira.
Long story short, that didn't work. So what did I do? I called up Dave Savage, who knows you, and asked him
There
to
you go,
introduce me
man.
to you. And then here we are
I
now.
like your style. I like your style. See, you're like water, baby. You can find a way. See, that's cool. You said that, man. It's like, see, you're driven. You have a need for achievement, right? Like you're optimistic. You got to be resourceful, dude. Right? Like I always tell people, a no, N-O is really an N is really a K-N-O-W. Just because you said no, but now you know me. And now I'm going to put you in my value sequence. So do with coaching, right? It's the greatest shortcut at the end of the day. Like if you have the results that I want, I'm going to find you and I'm going to ask you to help me, right? It's a shortcut. So what I realized too with coaching, I have to give a shout out. In 2012, 2013, I was down and out. I went to the mortgage mastermind event in Vegas and I sat front row and all these guys were coming on stage. Growing up as an immigrant, growing up in business, growing up in Chicago, I have a pretty strong bullshit meter. Right? I can sense it a mile away. You understand? Like some people are so trusting. I'm like, you can't believe you trusted this guy. Like, just look at him. Like you can tell this guy's like not all there. But anyways, all these guys are coming on stage. Most of them like bullshitter, bullshitter, bullshitter. Like these guys are just like highlight reeling everything, And it's all like just it's just too fancy for me. I can't trust these guys. And I don't know if they have really good harmony in their personal lives, right? And I'm not judging anybody, but like, I didn't want to be like a burnt out Lilo. Two guys come on stage. My greatest mentor, who I talk to every month, first Friday of every month for an hour and a half, Todd Screama, founder of Core Training. These guys got on stage, Dino, and there was no like lights, like fog machines. It was like, hi, I'm Todd. Hi, I'm Josh. Here's exactly how you make $1 million in LO. Here's exactly the system, nuts and bolts. I've always learned people that speak in generality, they don't really know what they're doing. It's the people that speak in specificity, they know what they're doing. These guys are so specific. So I joined the core, valedictorian of my class after 2 years. I did everything they told me to do. And bro, my income just went boom, 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 boom. I'm like, this is a cheat code, right? Like, holy cow, like they're telling me what to do. I pay money. Thank you. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I said, how is everyone not doing this? Most people are not coachable, dude. They, the three barriers of growth are fear, entitlement, and perfection. And I'm aware of that. For me, it was always perfection. So now this coaching program, dude, we're almost at 1,000 members. It's an amazing community, dude. And they're thriving, right? Like, because they're taking advantage of the marketplace where LOs are just paralyzed working from home and they're getting massive mind share and market share. This is the time to get coached right now. This is the time. And it doesn't have to be me. There's lots of great coaches, but you got to go exchange money for knowledge. But the money has to be enough where it scares you, where it forces you to work and do the work.
Really needs to scare you a bit. So how much do you charge and how do people get a hold of you?
Well, you guys can all find me, if you're listening to this, social is the most powerful thing. Instagram is at Amir Syed, AmirSyed. I think I'm at 40,000 followers on LinkedIn. All my LinkedIn content is entrepreneurial stuff, street smart stuff that I've learned in my life. All my IG, YouTube, and Facebook is all hardcore loan officer content, right? So you just Google it, find me on social, send me a DM. It's gocoaching.io. We have different communities. We have level one foundations for all the LOs that are struggling, Dino, with structure. They can't get past 50 loans a year. Level two is accelerator. They're between 50 to 100. We call that systems. Level three is scale. These are all the big producers. They need to buy back their time. They do enough loans, but they just need to figure out how do I build a perfect, harmonious, high-performing team so I can go on vacation, my business doesn't shut down. Level four is Richard Milligan and I from 4C, the recruiting whisperer, I call him. That's all my recruiting leaders. We call that sponsorship, how to go on, recruit, retain, and rise up loan officers, right? He and I coach that group. And level five is my apex. I call that stewardship. These are all my paid to paid forward coaches. And there's 13 of them. All of them make $1 million or more a year, average 45 hours, 4 vacations a year. They've been indoctrinated through Go. They understand the whole modern marketing principle, right? So you have to figure out when you talk to one of my strategists where you fit in. And they're all at different investment tiers. We have financing. I do give scholarships for people, right? Because that's a true test of a coach. So if you're going through some hardship, whether you're a single mom, you got some life things and you're committed, I will give you a scholarship. So it's not all about the money.
I'm gonna say a couple things. The scholarship, I'll start with that one. I think it's fantastic. I'm a big believer in giving. It's been something that, I changed in my life years ago and have committed to. As a company, we do give an awful lot. Every loan officer that funds a deal, anything they put in up to $300, we match. And then throughout the year, we give to as many different organizations as we can. Last year, we fed over 100,000 people on Thanksgiving Day. And we've always been a small boutique style company. I'm really trying to grow Ethos Lending. And one of my biggest goals is that we feed 1 million people on Thanksgiving Day. So I want to say it out loud. Like that's one of my biggest goals ever. Now, to say something about the giving, I always thought I had to make money in order to give. And I actually realized, you know what, there's a lot of people that I can help that I don't need to make money on. So when I found clients that were in desperate need, I decided my giving is going to happen now, not later. And I'm going to give now because I know I can bless these people with what I do. So I want to commend you and just say publicly how much I appreciate that you do that, because not most people should pay, right? They have the ability to, and they need to stretch and push. But there's going to be some where life was just a little too hard on them, and you have the ability to bless them. So I think that's awesome, and thank you for that.
Thank you, Dino. And I want to support you with that Thanksgiving goal. Like, so just we're new friends now. So for the record, publicly here, I want to support you. So when Thanksgiving comes around, just put me on the list, and however I can support, get Go Coaching behind it as well.
Awesome, thank you. I'm writing it down because I'm going to put it in my calendar to call you.
Yeah, you write it down, tattoo it. I got you, man.
Thank you. So another thing too that I'm going to do is this like free. Go pay for coaching. It does not go pay, go coaching, right? But also go pay for coaching because it's big. But if you want something free, I'll tell you one of the best things I ever did. I was already doing pretty good, but this guy named Josh Metal, which a lot of you guys already know. He's a big producer from Neo Home Loans. Him and I worked at the same place at the time. And he was always, when they read the top, 10, he was always top one or two, rarely ever anything below that. And I was always in the top 10. Sometimes I'd make it to the top 5, but I struggled. Like there was enough of a number there that it just used to drive me insane. So I finally called him one day and asked, can you give me 30 minutes? I want to just ask you a bunch of questions. And I'm like, gosh dang, we do almost everything exactly the same, except for one thing. And it was so simple. He said, every day between 8 and 10 a.m., my cell phone goes in the cabinet, my door closes, and everybody knows you do not bother me. Unless there's a fire, you do not bother me. And all I do for 2 hours is I call. And I don't stop if I got somebody interested to send them a quote or do something. I don't stop. It's 2 hours of nonstop calling. And then I fulfill whatever I promised somebody on the phone. I was like, man, I guess I should just start calling people more, right? So believe it or not, it's paralyzing to start thinking about who you're going to call, what order you're going to call them in, what time they like to be called. I mean, you're going to create this to-do list in your head that just paralyzes you for no reason. And it did me as well, because I really just didn't want to do it, right? What'd you say here? You said I was an out of shape business athlete. And I was an in shape business athlete for so long, but after 2008, I got out of shape. And then I just struggled with a lot of stuff, but I finally put my list together. I finally started calling, and I started calling past clients. And then right after I talked to that client, I would call the realtor that referred him to me. And I would just say, hey, I just talked to Bob. I just want to give you an update. He's doing great. He just happened to have an extra kid. Since the last time he bought a house, he was talking about he might be outgrowing the house he's in, right? And I just went back and forth for 2 hours. And I got to tell you, I made $25,000 in 2 hours. It was that simple. So
I believe it.
All you got to do is get on the damn phone and start calling your past clients. Call your realtors. Call anybody you can that has the ability to refer you business. And the one thing I'm going to say is that if anybody ever tells you, oh, I forgot you do loans, you should go shoot yourself and get out of the business. If they say I forgot you do loans, that is your fault. You're an idiot. You're a loser that they forgot you do loans for a living. Anyway,
I know you're, really just hitting the point home, but I've never met Josh, but I heard great things, and he's a champion, right? He's catching flow is what it's called, flow state, right? And so I'm very big on time blocking, which is called, I have a system called block, batch, burst, right? So in my blocks, I batch people in those blocks and I burst through them, right? And so I never make calls from my desk. I change the environment. I do walks and talks. I sit in my car, right? And so my greatest ability, I think, has been my ability to conversate over the phone, right? So I don't go a week without having a minimum of 30, 40 conversations. I think for loan officers that are listening to this, I hope I impacted just one of you today with saying this. You don't have to have, you just call people without needing anything, right? Like you don't call because you think I can't call because no transaction. It's a very simple, limited way of thinking, and you've been taught wrong. And I don't know who your leadership has been. This is no personal shot, but like you're a people person. True loan advisors show up when there's a transaction to be had or not to be had. Loan officers show up only when there's a transaction to be had. Like, so don't get mad. Don't point at the president. Don't point at the federal chair. Don't point at the sky. Don't point at this. It's on you, man. You got to start putting a mirror up and not a microscope. Look at yourself in the mirror, dude, right? And say, like, this is my database. So, like, how rude and disrespectful am I? And I can't say that my clients are like my family, right? And you can't say, like, I'm a loan advisor. You can't say that if you're not calling people systematically throughout the year without having anything in return that you need. You're a loan advisor, right? So, like, right now, I'll give a tactic depending on when this podcast comes out. Like, I'm telling every loan officer, You got to protect your database right now more than ever. Every single client that closed the last 6 months, EPO Central. These servicing companies are about to go at your people, right? So you need to call every single one. Here's the voicemail script. Dino, it's Amir, your old mortgage guy. I'm so sorry for not doing a good job of keeping in touch, but I made a commitment now to be more proactive with the people I care about in my database. You're one of my favorite past clients. There's two things I'm sharing with all my homeowners right now around the tariffs and what's going on in the economy about their mortgage. Call me when you get a chance. Click. A great voicemail is energetic, enticing, and exclusive. When they call back, first and foremost, how are you doing personally? How's the home? Right? Again, I'm sorry I haven't done a good job. Apology, reset. I'm thinking of you. I'm going to make a promise moving forward. I'm going to be more proactive. Right? Do you have questions on what's going on with this whole tariff thing and mortgage rates and all this? Second, I feel we're going to see rates soften sometime in the near future. So my job as your loan advisor for life is to be proactive. When these rates drop, the servicing company is going to call you. You're going to get blown up by junk mail. Most of them do not have your best interest first. I do. I will guide you to make sure it's the right decision. So please call me when that time is right. But I'm also going to be watching the market to make sure it's right for you guys to refinance. That's called anchoring down your people. So you're going to get penalized, loan officer nation, for not only losing the client from their lender, but you're going to get EPO. So I'm telling you now what to do. Whether or not you want to take the medicine or not, it's on you. But these are the things that you got to stay in rhythm, you know?
That is total gold. I can't tell you how many times I ask questions and people give me generic answers. You just gave the most specific possible way to go about doing this. I mean, that is gold. So thank you. And Phil, do me a favor. You don't even have to cut this out. Just cut that piece out, because I want to send it to every one of my loan officers and I want to post that. So just in case somebody doesn't listen to the whole thing, I want them to listen to that. That is the most valuable thing anybody can do right now. You know, one thing, Amir, and since we just met, you don't even know a lot of this stuff. But at Ethos Lending, one of the things that I'm trying to do, I'm trying to create something that has a conversion from loan officer to mortgage advisor. And what we're doing is we're calling it the MUM, stands for Mortgages Under Management, and we're building it out.
I love it.
Where it's literally like a financial planner has assets under management. The difference between a loan officer and a financial planner is the financial planner thinks of that client as his client for life. He's going to manage all his money. He's going to stay in touch with them constantly, and he's not transactional, right? It's a everyday thing for him. A mortgage advisor contacts his clients regularly, knows if they're even thinking about buying a house, or he knows if they're in any kind of financial debt. He knows that the kid is going to be going to college and they got to start planning for it. He knows all of this stuff. A loan officer does not. So the big difference between a financial planner and even a mortgage advisor is financial planner has a book of business that's actually worth something one day and they can sell it. A loan officer has nothing. Unless they can work out a backdoor deal, they have to walk away one day and they just stop doing business. In my book, a mortgage advisor, like I feel like I have been over the years, I have a book after 26 years that keeps coming back to me. Whether I want them to or not, they keep coming back to me because I put so much time and effort into it. And I still, even though I don't talk to new clients anymore, I still talk to my old clients because they are my clients. I am building something that a mortgage, if you can make that conversion from a loan officer to a mortgage advisor, my commitment as a company is that one day, if you've met all the achievements, and our algorithm that we're building right now is going to have a value associated to your MUM, your mortgages under management. And if you do everything the Ethos way, right, and you've been here for at least 5 years, there's a value that's going to be associated to your MUM, and we are going to acknowledge that we will buy your book of business. If you ever retire or die, we will give it to your beneficiaries. So first, it'll go for sale to all the loan officers at Ethos, right? All the mortgage advisors, and it's important because if you do business the Ethos way, right? Everybody that self brands too much, right? If Amir's not the one that I'm calling, who am I talking to? It doesn't really do any good. So there is a piece there where everybody has to kind of be doing business the same way. And you have to be used to working with a team because if you do everything as a loan officer, none of these clients are going to want to work with me if I buy your book of business. It's got to be a certain way. So we're going to put the book up for sale to all the mortgage advisors at Ethos. As a company, we're going to step in with all of the data points, well over 100 KPIs so far, and then we're going to offer financing to help facilitate the buyout from one mortgage advisor to another. If nobody wants to buy it, we're going to buy it. So I'm really, really excited about this.
It's genius. I think you do some public posts. I think you're gonna see, just like there's a big transition happening right now with baby boomers selling their businesses, like dentist office and all that. I think you're gonna see, and we're gonna continue to see more loan officers than the last year might have 10, $20 million in production. These last 2, 3 years are just burnt out and they want to sell that book of business, you know?
I'll tell you what my biggest challenge has been, because a lot of people are asking me, does that apply to my past business as well? And my answer is it would absolutely apply if you actually kept the freaking details of them. I mean, no mortgage advisor out there actually is organized enough to have all the details. It's insane to me. It's insane. You got their email and their phone number and their loan amount and interest rate. Like, come on, dude. There's way more than that. We need more than that to value a business. So
You
that's
know,
what we're building.
every loan we close, I used to think about this when I was younger. I'm like, every loan I close should shave 1 minute off my end of my career, my time. So if I close, let's say 1,000 loans, I have 1,000 minutes saved, right? I should shorten my career where it's like I don't have to work as hard. So one loan closed, 1,000 minutes saved. And so I challenge people to think that way, as this is your residual income. Just stay in rhythm with these people, man. Like, stay in rhythm, you know?
Hey man, listen, this is going long, so I'm gonna bring it to the end. But I still want to get these little tidbits out of you. What's your favorite book?
Let's do it. Phew, I saw that you sent that in advance. I honestly, like, I was thinking long and hard. I don't make this top three. Okay, yeah, thank you. I'd say Fanatical Prospecting by Jeb Blunt made a huge impact on me. I'd say E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber made a huge impact on me. And I would say uh recently I read Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. I really enjoyed that book. So there's just three top of mind right now. But I have to say the book of Proverbs in the Bible is the greatest book I've ever read within the Bible. Like, so I'd be remiss if I didn't say that.
Yeah, I saw on one of your things you had as our iron sharpens iron, so one man does another. One of my absolute favorite verses in the Bible.
Yeah, that's go coaching, man. This thing right here. This is Proverbs 27:17. Iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. This logo is from that verse. Me and you, man. We're aligned. Yeah.
Favorite quote.
Iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another.
What's one bold action any loan officer can take right now to kickstart his business?
I want you guys all to literally call as many people as you can and ask them who their go-to financial advisor is and get 10 financial advisor meetings. It's a simple task, and you'll get a lot of business. 10 financial advisors. Put a post on Facebook, said, hey, I'm looking for a great financial advisor to refer my clients to. Who's your go-to? Drop it below. Your thing will light up. Call your past 6 months of clients and say, I got a question to ask you. A lot of people are asking me about markets and things like that, and they're asking for a financial advisor. Do you have a go-to? Okay, if you, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank them? If they're 9 or above, say, would you introduce me to them? If they don't, say, hey, would you like me to find one, the one that I come across? Get 10 of those people and call them and break some bread with them. You'll get a ton of business out of those guys. Purchase and refi.
And you know everything you know, but you don't have a client base and you have just enough money. So you're kind of poor, but you're not. And I'm going to pick you up and I'm going to drop you off somewhere in the United States and you have to be successful in 1 year. What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? You don't know anybody. You don't know anybody. I'm dropping you off like, who knows, right? Indiana.
Okay. All right. As a loan officer? Okay. Well, drop me off in Northwest Indiana. Northwest Indiana is booming. Shout out to my people of Munster, Schererville, all these places. But
So
I tell
first
you,
thing I guess is I didn't drop you off there, but you just migrated to there,
okay, all
huh?
right. I hitchhiked there. It's made it a lot alive. Yeah, I would say first thing is I would get on Facebook, optimize my profile. I would join every major local realtor Facebook group, and I would drop a value bomb every single day in those groups so I can be seen by thousands of realtors and attract them to me. And then I would do engagement posts where I say, hey, I have a playbook that will help you get more listings, right? So I would go on ChatGPT, get that. I'd interview a bunch of realtors. I launch a podcast to just get that information. And I would get a bunch of realtors that would DM me. I do a masterclass every week with hundreds of realtors on to teach them a subject. So I would build my pipeline there and I would go meet them all one by one by one by one by one by one, and I would just convince them to send me business and I would get to 1,000 of them within 90 days. That's my fastest way to do it. I would pre-sway through Facebook realtor groups with my local market with gems every day that would attract them through playbooks that helps them make more money and save time. And I would funnel them down into one-on-one meetings.
So for all of you that are not succeeding at the level you want to succeed at right now, I ask you the question, how many of you are doing this? Because if you're not, I think it's that simple.
It's that simple. It's a cheat code right now. So
Amir, thanks, buddy.
Hela manga, we made it, man.
This was fantastic. And I got to tell you, if you can make yourself get over to Orange County, California, I will personally do the cooking and treat you like you haven't ever seen before.
Let me go to AmericanAirlines.com right now, man. I'm coming tomorrow.
Book it, baby. Book it. I'll even do the flaming cheese for you and everything.
Hey, opa, let's go, baby. I'm gonna take you up on that, man. I have so many friends in SoCal. And so you're my new friend, man. I'll put it on the record, man. I'm gonna come on and check you out, man. When you're in SoFlo, when you're in Miami, I'm here for you too, man.
I will look you up for there. That some of the best times my wife and I have ever had, Miami.
Yeah. That's why we moved here, man. It's a special place. We were actually real close to moving to Manhattan Beach, because I had a couple friends there, but it's a little the taxes kind of hurt me a little bit. I said I'm gonna go the other way. Florida, no state income tax, but you can't go wrong with either one, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, dude, thank you so much for taking your time here with us today. Just having the heart to help people and getting to know you is a great pleasure for me. So I really appreciate you. Thank you.
Man. Right back at you, Dino. Kalisto, man. I enjoyed it very much, bro. My Greek brother. This is the first time we're going to see a Persian and Greek guy, man, really, really get along, man. We got some history here, man. You took out in the movie 300, your gladiators took out 1 million Persian people, man. It still hurts me, man.
We'll still break bread. We'll still break bread.
Cool, listen, brother. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Nation.
And it was my pleasure for all of you for joining us. Thank you. I really appreciate it. If you guys enjoyed what you heard, please share, comment, do everything. Look up Amir because he's got a great program. And even if you're good, share it with somebody else. Share Amir's contact information with somebody else's. Go coaching. And guys, we're here for you every step of the way. If you guys need anything, reach out to us personally. Don't ever be afraid to do that. So thank you. We're here to empower, equip, and educate you the way lending should be done with true professionals at the helm teaching you. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.